Welcome to Sygnus Skyline, where we explore the world of alternative investments, innovation, and leadership through the perspectives of the visionaries driving transformation. In our inaugural season, the Founders Table, we sit down with the Sygnus founders Berisford Grey, Dr. Ike Johnson, and Jason Morris to uncover the stories, insights, and vision that have shaped the firm's journey over the past decade. Pull up a chair and join us at the Founders Table. We'll be celebrating 10 years of Sygnus, the Caribbean's leading alternative investment platform. But before we get into all the things Sygnus, who is Sygnus? What is Sygnus? Beris, I see you looking at me, so I think you're ready to answer that question.
Sygnus is really a firm that was founded by myself, Ike and Jason, with a vision to disrupt the Caribbean financial services industry. And by disruption, I mean try and create accessibility of capital on the one hand, and also provide opportunities for investors to invest in other instruments apart from the traditional instruments that were available, primarily government paper. And by doing that, we solve a significant societal problem, which is to allow capital to flow in different ways through different channels and different asset classes to investors and businesses across the region. So that's really what Sygnus is about.
Okay. So you mentioned different channels and asset classes. For someone that's watching this for the first time, they don't know anything about alternative investments. What does that mean? What are the different services that Sygnus provides? Jason?
Alternative investments. Well, think of traditional versus non-traditional, where traditional reflects you go to a bank and the bank can give you a loan. The bank has a black box that you either fit in it or you don't fit in it, right? Mm-hmm. So the way you get access from a bank, they have a pretty standard approach for you to get financing. So that's one way. That's traditional. The other traditional way is you have equity markets where people go and exchange ownership in companies and call it shares, right? And then third traditional channel is really the fixed income market, where companies and governments go and issue debt, and you have a platform on which that is traded over the counter, sometimes also public listed. So those are like your traditional sources of financing. Everything else basically is alternative, right? Non-traditional / alternative. So in our world, alternative really specify a couple of things. One is private credit, mm-hmm. which is very similar to the financing that you get from a bank, but it's also very different. Why? Well, in private credit, we basically customize the financing solution for the client. So company ABC, you are growing at a particular rate, you need a type of debt financing that is tailored specifically to match your needs. And that's very different from a bank, like I said, which is standardized, right? So that's private credit as one. Second is real estate, which is an asset class that everybody knows, which effectively you are just financing real estate, different types of real estate assets, whether it's a commercial building, whether it's a residential, or it might be, a warehouse, etc. And then the third leg in Sygnus alternative investment platform would revolve around private equity, which is similar to the equity that's on the stock market, except that these companies are private, they are not publicly listed. So that's basically taking capital and deploying it in private entities with the expectation that within 5 to 7 years we can 2x or 3x our capital. And the fourth and final leg in our alternative investment platform currently is impact investing, which is doing all the other things I spoke about before, The only difference is that you're measuring the effect on society, and that might be through the environment or through the implications on the social fabric or through governance.
Okay, thanks, Jason. So I know that before Sygnus, you all worked with a traditional bank or financial institution. So I want to go back a little bit before we move forward. I'm going to start with Ike. Where were you 10 years ago before Sygnus started? What were you doing?
Wow, 10 years ago, that's a long time. 10 years ago, I was with a traditional entity. They were more focused around, ensuring that they can provide at the time the type of instruments that are, customary to clients at the time. Throughout our careers in the traditional sector, we've always identified that there's a gap. All three of us are educated, on some international platform. So we would have been aware of different types of instruments and different ways of financing transactions, which, we saw the gap in Jamaica, and we're always saying, there should be an avenue to provide access to capital in a way that, you don't have to conform with the black box that Jason mentioned. But, if you have a great project, if you have a company that, there's a great new addition that you can make to the business, but, you can't take a business plan like that to the bank and get funding. You have to have, collateral in the forms of land and, very narrow type of collateral. So, while working in the traditional sector, it was always a burning desire of the three of us to find a way. First, we tried to make these sources of capital available on the traditional platform, but as you know, they fall under some regulation which sort of restrict your ability to do a business like this. So, the obvious thing to do at the time was to, let's go and start a company to provide this type of capital.
All right. Beris, where were you 10 years ago before Sygnus?
10 years ago, I was in a safe job with a headache, but not a lot.
No headaches now.
Oh, well, no, we don't have headaches now. We have new challenge and fund.
Okay.
Yes, 10 years ago, I was in charge of corporate and investment banking, and basically trying to push that platform forward. And as Ike said, always in the back of my mind, trying to figure out when is the right moment to embark on the entrepreneurial journey to really disrupt the financial services industry. And it all came together, and a lot of persons probably heard this story. It all came together one summer. I think it was 2013 summer, if I'm correct. Yeah, 2013 summer. All three of us coincidentally were having drinks at Crew at the same time. And Ike and Jason were talking about what at the time was a Sygnus idea. I know they're going to work out. Then they saw me across the bar, sitting having drinks. This is a true story, right? And I think it's Ike who came over and said, yo, Beris, we have an idea. We're discussing something. And I said, yeah, let me hear. And I came over and we started talking. I said, yeah, I have a similar idea too. And we just started saying, okay, as of tomorrow, which was Saturday, let's start working.
Wow,
on the plan.
It was quite an unusual place to make a pitch. But,
So you were just having drinks on a regular, what was that, Friday night
evening.
at Crew on the rooftop.
Yeah.
And came up with a full-fledged company. That's now 10 years old this year.
Well, the ignition or the coming together of all three of us at the moment to, let's say, okay, tomorrow we're going to start working on the idea.
Yeah.
So that was a beautiful moment, and I think it's one of these moments that, in my view, we literally did not really know how Sygnus would unfold. But from that moment, I think our alignment and desire to sort of reframe our thinking around how finance is done in the market across the region started. And you know, as we go along, we could hear a lot more about how many reframing we have done.
Yeah.
I'm sure. Jason, 10 years ago, before that evening at Crew, what was happening in your life?
Well, 10 years ago from this moment, I would say that I gritted my teeth on understanding the rudiments and fundamentals of investment at the first firm that I worked at in the financial sector proper. I had some short stints before that, but they weren't in the financial sector. I learned everything about investment there, and then I learned even more. But the key thing is that I learned leadership, right? Which is very important for a business. So 10 years ago, I was doing all kinds of good stuff, similar to Ike. And unbeknownst to me, I was being ushered out.
Oof.
But in the end,
Yes, we both were. I have to tell the story. Sorry, Jason. I have to tell the story. So maybe I can just give one piece just to show you how Jason motivated me in life, right? When I was at UA, I think I was doing a first year of my master's at the time. I'm a nerd at heart, you know, so I'm always in the library studying, and I realized that in the evenings I see this guy come in. So I see he reach here 5 o'clock on the dot every evening, and I see he come in, put down his bag, he go back out. Back in the days, computers weren't so smart. Even for the young people who are watching, you know, computers were really big back then. So, you know, this tall CPU, he brought it in. Then he brought in this big CRT monitor. Monitors were actually big, but it's not this tiny flat, you know, it's big like that.
Yeah.
And then he brought in his keyboards and his books and so forth. And
In the library.
At
UE.
Yes, at UE, every single day. And I said, no, man, I really admire this guy dedication, because to bring your entire computer to the library. And at that time, Jason wasn't attending UA, he was just using the library facilities. And I had to go up to him and I say, what are you doing? And then he started to tell me that, you know, he's doing the CFA exams. I say, what is that? And he goes through and he explained it. Tell me about the CFA and say, you need to do the CFA, and, you know, and he, you know, show me the website and the books and so forth. And I say, you know what? I should look into it. So Jason really got me into finance at the time.
Amazing. So if I met each of you 10, 15 years ago, what was something that you were like really, really obsessed with other than Sygnus?
10 years ago.
Yeah.
You mean like good things or bad?
I don't know. Good or bad.
No. 10 years ago, I was always obsessed with financing and figuring out structures and ideas and how to do investment banking deals. You know, that's what I spent a lot of my time 10 years ago doing, as well as probably in the latter part of that point, how do I build high performance teams and get people to go through what I call crucible moment, so that they can basically jump in their capacity to deliver. So outside of the fun things that I was doing, that's what.
What were some of the fun things?
Oh yeah, 10 years ago I was 15.
15.
Okay, 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah, I was playing
happening?
football. You know, I was a football.
You're trying to play football.
I was actually the manager of
a club?
No, I was a manager of the bank football team.
Wow.
At the time, you know.
Do you still play?
I retired and take up the management role. So I was buying players.
Did they win anything?
That's a
good
story.
Ike, what were you obsessed with 10, 15 years ago?
You know, to be honest, up to 15 years ago, my number one obsession was Sygnus at that time as well. But in terms of other obsession, you know, I believe, or I'd want to believe that I'm an entrepreneur at heart. You know, sort of a entrepreneur stuck in a a more academic body, but you know, it's always thinking about different ideas. When you travel and you see different things and you start to think about, you know, what is this use case that you can make viable in Jamaica. And I would say outside of, you know, just general entrepreneurship, real estate development was something that I had a great degree of interest in. So, you know, any opportunity I get to talk to the, you know, the developers around at that time and, you know, sort of look and see how they become successful, how they maintain your success, and just always thinking about how can you actually, or how can I actually be in that space and you know, make a difference and also become successful. So for me, it's you know, I don't have a lot of hobbies, if any, but I'd always tell people that my hobby is work.
Wow.
But you know, I think the age that I am now, I think I need to pick up some hobbies for health purposes. So I'm looking into a couple. So maybe, you know, anyone can throw some ideas out.
Let's have a talk after.
Yes.
Jason.
Yeah. Well,
What were you obsessed with?
Before I say what I was obsessed with, I just want to add to Ike's point, right? Which is in 2007, Ike and I were in a different place at a different company, right? So people came to us with maybe 5 or 6 ideas on real estate.
Wow.
And
Okay.
we went and registered a company named Sygnus International, right?
From 2007.
Yeah.
Yes.
I have the stamp and seal and everything.
Actually, 2006.
6 late,
Yes.
yeah.
So
So
wait. So before you even because I had this question here, but now I need to ask it. No. So
Yes.
whose original idea was Sygnus?
All right, I want to answer that one, right? So actually, the original, it's not exactly what we do now, but the original thought behind Sygnus was actually Jason's. So Jason, because Jason at the time and even now was seen as one of the, you know, foremost economists in Jamaica. So he would know a lot of people and they'd come to him and say, you know what, I have this opportunity, but you know, I can't fund it because either I have to go to the bank and I don't have any collateral and so forth. That is what I think sparked the whole idea of Sygnus around, you know, just meeting these guys and just, you know what, I think we should find a way. And we had worked on a transaction to invest. I don't think they had investors. It was a Cap Cana bond at the time. And we were so amazed by how they structured that instrument. We said we want to have a similar approach in Jamaica. So then Jason met with the client and Jason came back and said, hey, we have this opportunity. What should we do? And I say, let's incorporate a company. And at the time, we were just learning about St. Lucia IBCs and before. And then Jason said, we need a name for the company. And at the time, I said, if you're not doing well at that company, you stand out. So it's that type of culture there. So I said to Jason that we want a company with only stars, pure bright people at this company. So I think about the stars, and then we saw the Sygnus constellation. I said we love that name. We're gonna call it the company Sygnus. Sorry for that diversion, Jason.
It was a good one. It was a good little backstory there, Jason. So back to you. We left off at 2007.
So just 2 things alone. My passion is really 2 things, really. The first one is badminton.
I know that
I play
one.
that no matter if rain is falling or sun is shining or snow, whatever.
How long have you been playing badminton?
From my eye to my knee. So from Monroe days, 3rd form, Monroe, until now.
Oh,
okay. Right? So badminton is my real passion, and I don't go to meetings or anything on Tuesdays and Thursdays because those are my badminton days, right?
okay.
So once it reach 4 o'clock, good
You're
luck.
out.
Yeah.
Got it.
Second thing is really researching about financial markets and financial information. So that's because of my, I guess, economics background. I am an avid and passionate researcher. Like, I research everything. So those are my two passions. And I think when we came up with the idea, three of us decided that we're gonna work on this.
Yes.
They gave me that task, right? To go and find
Everything
about alternative in the whole world, and how we're gonna basically make people in Jamaica first, but then people in the Caribbean second, believer in alternative investment. And if you recall, we used to have a lot of Ponzi schemes, right? And they were named alternative investment.
So there was a whole re-education.
Yeah. So when we started, we had to say we're not gonna use the word alternative investment. We had to use non-traditional. And then after a time, we decided. I think we had a board meeting or something, and we said, "Listen, we have to educate the market, and let the shoe fall wherever you want to fall. But we can't continue saying non-traditional when the actual lingo is alternative." And then we started to do things like introduce dry powder, which you can see that Jamaica, because of its crime rate then.
Explain dry powder.
No, that's it. Like, it's so amazing. When Jace was going to introduce the term, I said, Jace, I don't think it's a good idea, you know. But Jace said, no, man, we need to let the people understand the terminology in the industry. And when Jace came with this whole dry powder thing, like, then I'm at AGM and I hear like people get up and say, so why did your dry powder go down? I say, it's really I think Jace really put that word in the regular
in the market.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's quite innovative, I would say.
So Sygnus, the idea came about in 2007. You had that fateful night at Crew in 2013. Who's the one that on that night was like, we're doing this, let's go?
I think the three of us, actually. Because to be honest, I was quite surprised. Barry said, let's go up to UA campus tomorrow under one of those gazebo and let's get this going. And we were very consistent. Like, we were going there every Saturday for a good part of 2 years. Like, probably we missed 1 or 2 out of it, but it was a great degree of dedication by the three of us, because I think Beris had a similar idea to do something in the space as well, and we came with the idea, and I think it's the merging of those two different thought process that really brought about what Sygnus is today. Because what Jason and I envision is quite different from what it came out to, because Beris's strong point is investment banking and securitization and so forth. So bringing that thought process into the whole fold, it really makes Sygnus what it actually is today.
Awesome. So was there ever a moment that any of you were just like in the beginning, like, this not going to work?
Well,
in
the beginning, which part of the beginning?
Any part of the beginning that you thought, guys, this is Jamaica is not ready for this.
I don't want to be the scene as the storyteller here, though, but let me tell us. When we decided that, okay, we're going to establish the company June 2016, we incorporate Sygnus Capital Limited in Jamaica. Everything flowed smoothly. We finished the business plan. At the time when we were being ushered out, they said, there's a door, you know what to do. But we actually set up shop in Marriott Courtyard's lobby. Yeah. That's where we actually started everything, to be honest. Obviously, security there said, these guys come in here every day, we should kick them out.
Did you buy lunch?
Yes, we
Okay.
bought a few stuff, but our budget was quite
Very
limited,
small.
you know, very small.
I wasn't sure if it was just, a coffee, please, every day.
Yeah, and
sandwich and water.
yes,
Yeah.
and so Beres was still in his job at the time, and Jason and I would get there like 8-9 o'clock every morning, and we're just there, and we started to talk to a few potential investors, and would invite them to the courtyards lobby in the little business section around the side.
To your office.
Plug our computer in the people in TV and, giving our presentation. And, it turned out that, one investor that Beris actually introduced us to, Yasan Azan, who is still a co-founder in the entity. Beres introduced us to Gassan, and we did a presentation, and he said, you know what, guys, let's just the four of us get this done, and he would have provided this seed capital for us to start. So things kind of worked very smoothly. We set up the company, we got FSC approval, and then we decided, no, we're going to establish Sygnus Credit Investments. As you can imagine, things going so smooth, you're going in with a great degree of confidence, I remember one time Jason said to me, we're going to raise $50 million easily in this private placement, right? So after the first month of the private placement being open, we would have met with probably 100 to 200 people.
Yeah, about 200.
About 200 people.
Yeah.
And at the time, the first close was actually $4 million. We had to reopen because we had a threshold of $10 million for it. If we didn't reach 10 million, we'd have to return everybody's money. So we said we had to reopen this thing, We're at 4. So
4 out of 50.
Yeah, we started to beat the
We
pavement.
actually said 10 because we felt so confident.
Yeah.
We'll get to 50.
Exactly. We say, you know what? We're going to get 50. So 10 is but it's the hardest $10 million to raise. So we reopened for the next month and started to beat the payment some more, doing a lot of presentations to the pension funds and lobbying and, all that. And, throughout that second month, as it's the first time now I'm starting to say, failure is, you can actually feel the failure coming on. And, as a entrepreneur in a business and starting something, that's a fear that you have to overcome to become successful. Because if you let that fear sort of dictate your mindset towards getting whatever you're doing off the ground, then that is what is going to happen. So, we're at the Friday, the last day. It was a Friday, I can remember this. And when we tally up everything, we're at $9 million. So we're still short. So
And this is closing day.
This is 9.6. We shot 400,000.
Yes, right. We shot 400,000. We said, and I remember Jason was sitting at his desk going through his spreadsheet, and I was looking, and I was standing up there looking, and I said, what are we going to do? And I see Jason's phone ringing, and Jason answered it, and I hear Jason on the phones. Yes, you want to put a million or additional million? So this is 1 million more than a million that you put in. And I see Jason just hang up the phone and pack up everything and just bolt through the door and went and signed up. And it was at 5 o'clock on the last day we actually crossed that $10 million threshold. I tell you, my heart was pounding that entire week.
The other part of the story was that in order to get to 12 million, there was an investor who committed 2 more to us. But in order to get to give with that 2,
yes, you had to get
we have
to
to
the
get
10.
to 10. So, as luck would have it, that 10 trigger everything.
Yeah.
But we didn't expect 50 million or even 10 or 20 to be that of a challenge.
Right.
Because
you do this all the time.
Yeah. But I think the lesson that we learned actually was getting early early as entrepreneur to be very resilient and to reinforce our will to always find a way. And I think, in my view, if that didn't happen to us, like a reality check to be like, to get to 10
Yes.
is the hardest capital you'll ever raise. I think it would not have literally transformed our mindset in a big way, such that within a 3-year period,
Yeah.
we probably raised maybe 100 million by then,
Wow.
if I remember. Yeah.
Just across that 10 million.
Yeah,
Yes.
within 3 years, we'd have launched 2 other funds, right?
Right.
So within 3 years of Sygnus Life, just before COVID started, we already have our private equity fund and our real estate fund.
So it's been almost 10 years. Any disagreements between the three of you over those 10 years?
The fundamental disagreements are disagreements.
It could be both.
Well, maybe I should say. Maybe I should.
Maybe I
say,
should ask today.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Today, not
yet.
Not yet. Maybe after we go to discuss an opportunity. But
Yes.
anyway, I think that one of the things. But maybe I should step back and to answer this. One of the things that we realized in the very early, well, even before we launched the firm, when we were working through the business plan, was the relative strength that
Yes.
each of us have. And one of the things that we were able to do is challenge each other, right? As I always said, my partners are very, very smart guys, right? Really smart.
Yeah.
Probably the least smart of all of us, right?
I am.
But well, I don't know. But you guys are very smart. But
I see Dr. Ike was very quiet
but
for
we
that.
allow
Debatable.
yeah, but we allow a forum and a space where we can challenge each other, right? And we have different strength. Some of us, Ike, have a broad vision, thinking. I'm sort of more balanced, but I'm still very much in the detail. I'll go build an Excel sheet, right? So you come to me, I'll say, look, give me the Excel file. I spend a lot of time with it. Jason research everything.
Yes.
Right. So when you bring those information and skill set together, I strongly believe that most of the time we'll get it right, because we interrogate the idea and we are passionate about our perspective, right? So it's not like this rubber stamp, like, yeah, I agree. No, it's going to be really, really, really strong debate. And I think it allows us to truly test our thesis around Sygnus. I think as part of the firm, we actually encourage that as part of our culture, and allow people to challenge us and challenge each other. And from my point of view, I truly believe that healthy disagreement is necessary to debunk and reframe your thinking. And as Sygnus, we have to consistently do that, to reframe the way we think. That's sort of how we come alive as a firm, by just reframing the way financial services were offered in Jamaica and the Caribbean.
So we're going to wrap up this section of our podcast series. We heard a bit about the origination story and the ambition of Sygnus, and we're going to get into a bit of the strategy and where Sygnus is going.
The ambition, you haven't really heard the ambition of Sygnus.
Well, we have a whole segment for that.
All right.
All right. Thanks for tuning in to Sygnus Skyline. We hope you enjoyed today's conversation. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast platform, follow us on LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook, and check out our YouTube channel for exclusive highlights. Until next time.